What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Salesforce Studs. This is podcast number one. The name is still in the works, but we thought, why not? Let's go for it. So my name is Josh. I'm from Techology, joined by the most handsome and interesting Salesforce developer in the world, Salesforce Chef. How you doing today?
Doing great. So excited to start something new, to be partnering up with a person who made the most amazing Salesforce career shift from a pastor to an awesome Salesforce developer. It's a path I hope many take, and I'm looking forward to our discussion today.
Yeah, me too, man. So this is something that we're hoping to do on a semi-regular basis. I just kind of keep you updated with what we think is going on in the Salesforce world and really hopefully help a lot of you guys in your career path too. So what are we talking about today, Sayant?
I'd like to talk about how do you find jobs, but beyond that, how do you evaluate different job offers? Because once you get 1, 2 years of experience under your belt, companies will start chasing you, recruiters will start chasing you, you'll start
Right.
getting multiple offers from different types of companies, no-name companies, consulting companies, etc. How do you choose between them? What should we use to compare the offers? Should we just go for the one that pays the most money? Should we choose the one that has a nice brand? Let's discuss that. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah. So money is obviously important, and so that's why I left my last job. I was kind of committed to them forever. And then I realized that could literally double my salary. So I was like, all right, I'm out. How about you, man? Has money been a big influence on your career, or how have you
Yeah, I
chosen
think
jobs?
initially it's for me, passing the six-figure milestone was like, whoa, I made it in life. I'm at the American dream. It's something many of my business school classmates achieved, and I was like, when am I gonna break through? It seems like a horizon. I can never make it. But once you made it, I think the value of money beyond that point is much less, right? And but I never thought I would. I thought money would be the number one reason, but I didn't think other things will come into play. But now I'm thinking about other things that might play much more value.
Right. I
What's it
find
for
it
you?
funny. I find it funny that when I made 100K, I brought home my first couple paychecks. I was really psyched, and then after that, I started realizing, like, 100K is not that much. Like, it's funny, like, going from almost half that paycheck, right, to doubling it. So like making half a month what I used to make in a month, right, and then just being like, you know, this isn't enough money. Like how fast that seems to happen. Once I started like saving, putting, setting money aside for savings and investing, 401k, all that stuff, like, and realizing like, we didn't really change much of our like standard of living, except for we started buying healthier groceries. Maybe I just have a bunch of mouths to feed, so that could be it. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
not quite as much money as I thought it was.
yeah. I used to see this crazy salary data like from Mason Frank, like average salary
Right.
for for mid-level developers like 150K. I'm like, man, when
Right.
am I gonna make it to 150K? Who's gonna give me 150K? I'm gonna go for you. Then I see this crazy data about how much developers make in the Silicon Valley, 200, 300,000. You've seen this,
Yeah.
like, what's going on? When am I gonna get there? But then right now, I'm thinking, for me at my age, I'm 35. The most important thing is not the salary. I think it's a peace of mind. It is, and being able to enjoy every day, yeah, not being stressed, micromanaged.
Right.
A lot of the job opportunities right now are at consulting companies such as Accenture, Deloitte, and many like them. And I feel that although they probably pay really well, but they also probably more make you work hard commensurately. So, for example, if I were making like 100,000 right now, and if I go to Accenture for $130,000, so it's like a 30% increase in salary, I might actually be working to earn that 30% more salary. I might have to work 40% more, maybe even 50% more stress. So I think we have to be careful about choosing jobs just based on salary, right,
Right.
Josh?
Yeah. For me, So I think number one thing for me is work-life balance. I want to make
Yes.
sure that I am home enough, that I am, what's the point of money in the bank account, like when you're not using it to like, I don't know, increase your like time with your family or like have more fun or like, I don't know. It just seems like money is not an end to itself, right? There's like a money leads you to something. And to me, that something would be like enjoyment with my family or, um, or yeah, something like that. So that's sort of my
Yeah.
thought process.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. For me as well. I actually almost went to a company earlier this year to one of the big consulting companies that were offering me $140,000 base salary, 20,000 sign-on bonus. That was an amazing number for me because in total that'd be like $160,000 base income for 1 year. Yeah?
Right.
I've never earned that much money. Would have been a nice jump for me. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I almost took it, but thinking through though, I realized actually the project was even interesting. It was helping fight COVID
Oh,
with some
cool.
federal agencies. So it was kind of sexy
Yeah.
project. But then I realized if I were younger, I probably would have taken it. If I were
Mm-hmm.
single, I would have taken it. If I were early in my career, I probably would have taken it. But probably I wouldn't have gotten an offer if I were early in my career. But I think if when you work for consulting companies, there's a lot of daily like grind you have to deliver because you
Mm-hmm.
work for some customer and they expect something for every hour of that they paid.
Well, in our first company, it was we were a Salesforce ISV, and so
Hmm.
we, and this is all relative, right? Because based on my skill level, like my actual skill level was very low, and so, but there was like sometimes they put me on, we'd have a lot of contract work that we did out. There was like you know, custom components and things like that for our software, and so I just remember being like stressed, like being like, because not only am I like trying to like, make my code quality good enough, like to kind of whatever, but like now it's in someone's live system. I'm freaking out. I don't know all the ins and outs of what's in their system. I don't know how it all works. And of course I'm still learning at this point. And I just remember being so like, just really stressed and being like, oh my gosh, like, and even though it was like, now maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal because I kind of know a lot more what I'm doing, but I just remember being like, oh, or here I'm working more instead of like being a consultant, like, playing that kind of consultancy role or whatever, like being bought out, by employees or customers. I'm working on an internal system, which lets me, learn the ins and outs of all of that. And so I'm realizing like, this is a better pace for me. Like this is good. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Work-life balance. How is your work-life balance currently?
my work-life balance is incredible. So I mean, obviously, like in tech, it is, man. It's stellar. I love it, and I've turned down big numbers too. I mean, I don't know if I would have landed these jobs, but like I don't even kind of go to the conversation, like where they're like, hey, you can make, this one's 150. It's in San Francisco, 170. I had a job offer for 170 that they wanted me to put my application in. And I was like, and this is San Francisco. So I'm kind of close enough to the Bay Area that I think Bay Area companies are interested in me. But I was like, 170, man, that's crazy. And I just started thinking like, okay, like, but is the stress of it like worth it, like, because right now it's real, like there's been some hard projects and there's been some times I've given up a couple extra hours. We've worked, weekends. I've come in and I've like, pushed things on weekends when no one's on in the system, just that kind of stuff. And I think it's normal. And I don't mind doing that. But the other side is like, oh man, like when it's like, I remember my first company, like I said, I pushed this component over, it all worked in my sandbox and everything worked fine. And I got a call at like, 4:50. I'm trying to leave at 5. I had something that night that I was trying to get to. I got a call at 4:50. Hey, your component broke. I'm like, what? And then, I'm stressed. I have to call my wife, like, hey, babe, I'm not gonna be able to make it tonight. Like this thing, I'm sorry. I wrote something stupid. And I was there till like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, like just trying to like, trying to solve this issue that I had caused and that I thought I had dealt with, and it was probably some null check or something dumb, but yeah, still like it was stressful. And so now it's much better, man. How about yours? What's yours like?
Yeah, I used to work at Accenture. It was very good experience for me because I was still junior, and working long hours made me learn really fast. I felt like I was in a boot camp.
Mm,
So I was being paid to attend the boot camp, and it was really good experience. And I worked on different projects, so my pace of improvement, growth was very good. But it gets tired after a while, yeah, because those early meetings with India, then the
mm,
handover meetings in the evening, it builds up. So now I work for a small company. We have an app that allows people to run their accounting within Salesforce, and it's the best work-life balance I've ever had. I'm I I don't feel like I'm being micromanaged. I don't feel like I have to work like all 8 hours in the day. Yeah, I can split it out evenings, maybe sometimes if I work less in the mornings. So it's although I think I'm being underpaid. I'm pretty sure I'm being underpaid, but I love this pleasure of flexibility and being my own boss with the schedule. And I can it's hard for me to imagine how much someone has to pay me for me to leave this comfort, right? For you as well.
right.
How much would someone have to pay you?
Ooh. So, like, I think obviously, so this all comes down to how I research companies. Like, if I'm looking into them, right? Um, if a company has incredible, like, I think it's important for companies to have their Glassdoor reviews like on point,
Mm,
their Indeed reviews, Team Blind, Blind app or whatever. Like, all those companies, like your employees are reviewing you. And by the way, if you've never checked out those websites, like please do before you say yes to a job, because a paycheck, there comes points in time I feel like that are like paychecks. You need a paycheck. You're like, I don't care what I'm doing. I need a paycheck, and I've been there before. But then there's other times where you're like, okay, like, should I take this job? This paycheck is going to cost me. It's going to cost my family. It's going to cost me time. It's going to cost me stress, and it's just not worth it. So maybe waiting a little longer or whatever. So
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
answer your question. I don't know. Maybe like I like that 170 number. That was pretty nice, man. That feel pretty good. Um,
The the one the one the one downside of these high salaries though I think is they make you less entrepreneurial because
mhm.
you have less time
True.
for your personal projects. You
Right.
are more and more dependent on that company for your paycheck. Like you and I, yeah, we make far less than 170, but it
Mhm.
gives us much more free time to explore our personal project, like with real estate, with our YouTube channel. Maybe we'll start a Salesforce blog, and I think that's very important. Yeah, that we grow our personal brand, do a personal project, so that we generate some
Right.
passive income. But when you have this high income job, I think that probably will be your only source of income, right? And
Yep. I agree. I've seen that in my own self. I kind of have this natural hustle thing that I live with, and so I'm very like motivated to make that stuff happen. And when I landed this job that I'm currently in, I saw that go like just kind of way go down. Where previously I was like, how do I do this? Like, how do I build this thing? And now I'm just kind of like, it'll happen. You know. Yeah. All right. Hey, so I got this Mason Frank thing in front of me, and
give us
so
like a
if you don't know, Mason Frank just released their yearly salary survey, and I just want to talk like I have a couple questions that come from this, but is this reasonable, right? So let's take a look. So I'm going to talk about developers and admins. Maybe we'll throw in business analysts and stuff like that in there as well. But so I'm looking at a junior Salesforce developer salary. All right. By the way, you can get this. You could freely download this on the Mason Frank website. You just have to give them your email address, and I think you actually have to put in a copy of your current resume in order to get this. So good luck. I think another future episode. Go ahead.
That's one way to get it. Another way to get it is they come to your YouTube channel and you will paste the link to the salary survey directly, so they can bypass that validation.
Okay,
So
we could put it in the show notes. I have it. I'm not sure if I break any kind of.
no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I've done it before, and
Okay.
so that'll be one of the things that if people subscribe to your YouTube channel and like this video,
That's fine. Hey, we'll give you this. We'll give you this salary survey. You have to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, and you have to like our video. All right. So
Yes,
if you
yes.
do that, you're welcome to download it for free. You don't have to put your resume in anywhere. You don't have to be contacted by nobody. So okay, so here it is. So developer, they only have two. They have two columns, junior and senior. Okay. So for a junior developer, salary range starts at $96,000 a year. How does that strike you? Say a junior like your first job as a developer in Salesforce, making $96,000 a year. Is that
I think that's
accurate?
amazing.
Do you
I
feel
don't know
like
if it's
that's
accurate.
okay? All right.
I think it's depends on the geography. Is that average for US or for San
All right.
Fran?
I'm talking about just U.S., just in the U.S.
Dang, that seems really high. Base
Right.
salary for a junior developer.
That's
I
the
don't know what
entire
their
United States.
I don't know what their definition of a junior developer is. For me, in my mind,
Hmm.
junior developer is someone who's getting the first job as a Salesforce developer. That's a junior
Right.
developer for me, right? Who get
Good.
first jobs as a Salesforce developer and they making like 80, $85,000.
Okay. Yeah. So let me so here's my story, right? Like mine is like I was in a small town, small city, and working for the Salesforce ISV, and there's not a ton of tech up here. So I thought it was an awesome opportunity that I got to work with them and love them to this day. But my first starting salary was 55 a year. Now, granted, I came into that job. I came into that job having zero certifications. I came into that job. I was like, "What the heck is Salesforce?" That was like where I was at pretty much. So I had no knowledge of Salesforce at the time, and they were like, we need Salesforce devs, and we're willing to work with you. You seem you. I did some contract work for them. They liked my work ethic, and so that's where that whole thing started. So
And you were
96.
in the Silicon Valley,
Not really. No, we're probably
really?
about I'm about 3 hours northeast of San Francisco.
Ah, I see, I see. But still, okay, it still was in California, like,
Yeah,
and you were starting out at 55, you said?
55. That was my style salary. So and then they gave me a bonus thing where they're like, hey, get your Dev 1 cert. We'll give you 10K more a year. And so I did that. I got my Dev 1 cert.
They probably would have felt guilty of paying you so little. Or that you were doing so well. They wanted to find a reason to pay you more.
Right, right. Well, they did love me. They took care of me. They knew that I had a giant family, and they were like, my wife was going to school at the time, and so. But look, even at aren't you in Massachusetts? What I forgot what.
Maryland, Maryland.
Maryland, Maryland. Okay, I'm trying to find. They have some cities here: Austin, Texas, Boston, Chicago, New York, San Francisco. So let's look at Austin. That seems like that's a pretty techie city. It says their junior developers in Austin start at 119, right?
I don't know what kind of junior developers these are. These are
And then senior developers start at 132 and they end at 152. And for Austin.
like I've always felt that these salaries were inflated. I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe that's Mason Frank wants more people to apply. I'm not sure. These numbers seem crazy, a bit crazy to me. From my experience, from people I talk to in the DC area, maybe. And this is just base salary before you put in the benefits, right? This is the base salary.
I'm not sure about that.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I can't verify that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, like the only way I can justify these slightly crazy numbers is if people included the benefits. But
Right.
just for base salary, like I have a friend who works at Amazon in Seattle, not Salesforce, but he makes 150K base, and that's at
Yeah.
Amazon, and he's a very experienced guy. Here, junior level, $100,000. That's hard for me to believe the
Me too.
numbers.
Me too. So what like why would a recruiting company why would they want inflated numbers? Do you know? What's the benefit? I can tell you what I've heard, but I didn't know if you
Tell me,
wanted to.
please. Really curious to hear your story.
Yeah. So what I've heard from other people is that the reason they would do these inflated salaries is mostly well, I mean, it's twofold, right? It attracts candidates. Like, holy crap, if I work with this company, like I get to make, I'm going to start off at 120K, But B, when they're working with companies, like they'll tell them, you know, they can say, oh, well, average salary is for this job is 150. I think that's great for the recruiter. The recruiter makes a percentage of your of your salary, right? So like if you sign a contract for 150, the recruiter already has a 10% kind of contract or something like that. And once again, I don't know much about like how the recruiting world works, but generally, third party recruiters make a percentage of however much salary you want. So it's good for their people if they're signing a 120, 130, $140,000 contract. That means that recruiter is getting a payday for 10K minus whatever they have to give to Mason Frank or the whatever recruiting firm they're under. But that means they can also say to the companies, hey, this job usually is a $150,000 job. We found you this A+ candidate who will do it for 120. And then they think the company's like, oh, they're saving Mason Frank is, or insert recruitment group here. They're saving me 20 grand, So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I've heard.
That second reason makes a lot of sense. That they're finding candidates who are below market rate, but at
Mm-hmm.
market quality.
Right.
And even besides the developer salaries, have you seen the admin salaries, Josh?
Yeah.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, I can share. Let's see. You guys can see all this here. So this is for the United States here. And if we look for an admin salary, a junior admin, the general starting salary is 87.5.
That's again, is that crazy for me? I can't believe that admin
Yeah.
can make $87,000. Like,
Right.
what can an admin do, right? Create users, process builders, workflow rules,
Mhm.
reports, and you're gonna pay him $87,000?
Right. And if you're a lucky admin, you start off 6 figures.
Again, totally crazy. Like, look at the difference between the junior admin salary and junior developer salary. I think it's too little. 96 and 87. It's less than $10,000. It's really hard for me to believe that these are realistic ranges.
Here is the admin for Austin, Texas. For me, I say I'm picking Austin because I feel like the cost of living in Austin would probably be
Yeah,
better than Boston, Chicago, New York, or San Francisco. That's
I
why I'm just
agree.
talking
I
about
agree.
Austin. But like, so admin starts off at 76. Okay, I could see a $76,000 salary. But like not starting. I think
I
I
agree.
think 65 is probably like a decent place to be. In the 60s and 55 was my starting salary, and I started in a small city, so
Man,
maybe
look
there's
at
a
the
70.
contract hours. $72 per hour for a
Yeah,
junior admin. Isn't that insane? I
yeah.
had a student. He started as a junior admin in the DC area for one of the large consulting companies. He was getting paid $45 and he was happy. And that seems reasonable to me, yeah? Your first job, $45 an
Yeah.
hour?
Oh, yeah. I think right now I'm making 50. I make 105 a year, and I make about $50 an hour. So he was pretty much making what I make.
Yeah, but you have benefits. He doesn't get benefits. Right?
Right, right.
And
Yeah. Well, so when do you think someone's a junior versus a senior dev, like, or admin, or like, is it a year thing? Is it an experience thing? What are your thoughts on that?
very good question. I think that two things make the difference. First is I think you have to have the knowledge of the more
Hmm.
advanced concepts like Apex, maybe some Lightning Web components. And the other thing is just you have to be able to sell whatever you know. If you sell yourself and you get the job, you are the senior dev, right? What do you think?
I think a senior dev position needs to be able to not only solve problems, but I think architect as well. Like I think you need to be able to, in your mind, I think it's the difference between like writing code like and just solving a one-off problem versus like thinking about the system in general, right? Like the system in general is more like what design principles can I use here to make this extendable and to make this good for other people, like as opposed to like how do I solve this issue, like but how do I solve this issue and make the system better. Like I think
Hmm.
those are some of the questions that I think you can start asking. So for me it feels like years of experience matters more so than what you can code. And the reason is because you need to do enough stupid things to know what not to do, in my mind. And yeah, those are some things that I think of. Like I'm like, okay, so like if as I start moving more into, a more senior position, um, you know, and like, what do I need to know? I need to know how to not only just solve a problem, but how to solve it in a way that's going to forever make the system better.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a lot of it is experience, right? You have to see enough of bad code, enough of slow applications to realize
Yeah.
that you need to make your classes extendable, compact, small methods, abstract, virtual, and yeah, that's I don't know if I ever want to be a senior developer. Actually, I rarely even see titles senior developers. Yeah, it's I don't see it so much. Do you see senior developer
Yeah,
titles?
I see a lot of them.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty common for because especially when you're job hunting. Like, I've been working with a couple people now who are like looking for developer jobs, and I'm like, and they're like, everyone's just looking for senior developers, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to see that too. Like, no one
Okay.
wants to mess with junior developers.
No, I know not junior developer, but typically I just see developer, Salesforce developer,
Hmm.
and when I see senior developer, I think it's very hard to differentiate a senior. Otherwise, those skills you talked about, and it could be for a technical architect or CTO. I'm not sure. I'm not
Hmm.
sure.
I have a question for you. What do you think about like being very broad in your skill set or being very targeted? Like, I am just a Lightning Web Component person, or like that's like my main thing. Like, I can do trigger. I mean, this sort of like that's sort of my skill set now, right? Like, although I can write Apex, I can write triggers, test coverage, all that fun stuff, like Visual Force, Aura components. I can do that, but like I'm because of what I've been doing, I'm hyper focused on like LWCs right now, and
Mm,
so it's like, what do you think about that? Like generalizing versus being a specialist in your Salesforce career?
yeah, I think being specialized is better because when a company is hiring you, they have a specific problem in mind that they want to typically resolve. Maybe they are building Lightning components, and if you're the
Hmm.
Lightning component guy, it'll
Hmm.
be very hard for someone to beat you. But if you're a generalist guy, maybe you'd be good for consulting companies or where you'd be exposed to a lot of different works,
Right.
uh, right? And I think if you're specialized, I think it's nothing to be concerned about. What do you
Mm.
think? Are you concerned about your career prospects?
Yeah, I mean, in the future, like, so LWC stuff right there on the top of my head, but it's like, and then I'm like, and then I came into a trigger the other day, and I was like, oh, before insert, like it took me like a second to remember. I'm like, what do I write here? What do I do?
Yeah.
Like those things. And I was like, and then that's when I got kind of worried. I was like, ooh, I haven't written a trigger in a long time, or I haven't written an Apex class in like from scratch in a long time. Like I've been, um, and there's Google for that stuff, right? You just,
Yeah, so it just took you a second. Yeah, that's
yeah,
nothing.
but it just makes me think like, oh, I better not become too specialized because, I don't want to be worthless in the other areas where I'm maybe ignoring like the new Apex feature, like maybe the null, what is it? The null operator, the question mark operator. I forgot what
Oh,
the
the
official name is.
ternary operator.
No. The checking if the object is undefined or null. The null
Oh, is
operator.
is blank?
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
It's an Apex or
Yeah,
JavaScript?
it's Apex. No, I remember that because I was writing an if statement. I was like, you know, if element dot name does not equal null, and then I was doing that, and I was like, oh wait, didn't they just come out with something to write like to fix this to make this faster? And I
Mm,
wrote it in. I found out what it was, but I can't think of the official name.
yeah, I see Salesforce. Not see it, but you know the Salesforce recently bought MuleSoft, right, for a lot of billions of dollars, and MuleSoft is used for integration. And I have no idea anything about. I never used MuleSoft or Tableau. Also, I never used Tableau.
Right.
Sometimes I think maybe I should have experience with MuleSoft. There's probably a reason why Salesforce is buying up these companies so that
Right.
their customers use them. Do you ever think about, man, you wish you had some exposure to MuleSoft, Tableau?
Yeah. It's kind of worrying too. Like they keep acquiring all these companies. I'm like, wait, do I have to learn this too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
I'm always kind of scared of that.
Like, are other people learning MuleSoft and are they getting ahead? Am I falling
Hmm.
behind? Am I sticking to old technology?
Yeah, I totally get it, man. I definitely have fears like that too, where I'm like, I hope that, that I'll get trained or there'll be some trailheads or something like that I can do. I
Yeah.
hate to I'm in Google now, and I was trying to type in. I typed in new Apex operator, and it pulls up Apex Legends, the video game. Or I would used to
Yeah.
type in like when I forgot how to do writer map, I'd be like Apex map, and then it pulls up like the Apex Legend map. I'm like, oh, that's so frustrating. Like that's not what I'm looking for, Google. Not that then I'll type in new Apex operator Salesforce, and then
Yes, yes. Salesforce should buy up Apex Legends. Their next
yeah,
acquisition should be Apex.
just to just to help us. Yeah, I'm totally with you.
Yeah, yeah. So what are your big plans for 2021 around Salesforce?
I um I took I want to get the JavaScript certification and my admin cert, and so I have my admin tests scheduled for the end of January, and so we'll see how that goes. You interviewed me for an admin role, so I took the mock admin test, like the one you could they gave it to me for free,
Hmm.
and I tanked. I did bad, and so I'm like, okay, I thought that by now maybe I could just do it from just general knowledge, but there's like some very specific questions that I have to.
Yeah, they don't make it easier. There are some things there that you would never use. You probably would never
Mhm.
even remember after the exam. They just put it in the exam just to mess you up.
Yeah, and I feel like getting certifications now is great because they keep buying more stuff and they keep doing more stuff and building on the platform. And all of a sudden, instead of remembering 30 things, you have to remember 50 now. Like on the Dev One test, I think that there's a few questions on there for some LWC questions, which you'd never would have had to answer before. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So maybe if I wait too long, who knows how that'll be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I think those are two.
uh,
How about you, man? What are your plans?
I think JavaScript certification would be good just to review the core concepts, make sure I understand it. It will force me to learn, and it just these certifications motivate me just
Mm,
to get to a certain finish point. Yeah, but I don't
right.
want too many certifications. Only the ones I really, really need, where I feel my weak point is. And JavaScript, I think, is my weak point. I don't need anything else like FSL, Marketing Cloud, and these architect stuff. I don't need. I think the JavaScript, I think, would be good. I think everyone should go for the JavaScript. Yeah, I think it's just as important as admin or as platform developer
Oh,
one. Yeah. Besides the certification, I would love to continue growing my YouTube channel. I
hmm,
love making YouTube content because I meet amazing people like this guy. What's his name? Joshua Cruz.
yeah.
He has
Heard about him.
he has an interesting career change story. He's just already making good content. And there are other people out there also I meet from around the world. Like I recently interviewed a guy, an Indian guy who moved to Germany, and
Mm,
he became a Salesforce MVP there. And and besides meeting interesting people, I like to share certain things that I learn. I haven't done such videos in a while, but I would like to make time to do so. And the third thing I would like to do, besides YouTube and this JavaScript certification, is attend a Salesforce Dreaming conference. Unfortunately, in
oh,
2020, they all got canceled. Once I was ready to attend, they all got canceled, and so I hope next year I would be able to attend something in New
yeah,
York.
man. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're thinking of the international one, not the one in San Francisco.
No, no, yeah, no, that's Dreamforce. But Dreaming are the local ones,
Right, right, right.
like in France, Morocco, Benelux, like local ones, just to go meet interesting people from around the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have one in Sacramento.
What is it called? California Dreaming or something?
California Dreaming. Yeah.
You should be a speaker. Share your career change story.
Yeah, maybe.
Josh.
I don't know what they're doing this year because of COVID, and we don't know what the heck the year is going to look like.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I was supposed to be a speaker two of them last year. Not last year, this
okay.
year actually. One in Florida, one in Czech Republic. I was so excited to go. Boom, boom, both got canceled.
Uh,
First time I ever applied. First time ever was gonna be speaker at a Salesforce conference, and
yeah, that's awesome, man. It's kind of cool. I think a lot of people underestimate what building your own personal brand can do for you
hmm
and for your career.
yeah,
Like, has there been any cool opportunities that have come your way because of your YouTube stuff? And
yeah. Like I met you. I
Mhm.
learned your story. I get inspired by the people I talk to. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, man, this guy is awesome. Like right now in my life, I don't really talk to anyone besides my family, my parents, and the people I meet through the YouTube, like in general. And
Right.
like because I really and my colleagues. Yeah, this is my
Sure.
community right now for
Yeah.
me. And so the people I meet through my YouTube channel are really inspiring to me. And besides besides this, what kind of cool opportunities have come over?
So I was watching
Oh
this
yeah,
YouTuber. Um,
oh yeah,
go ahead.
Salesforce marketing reached out to me. They did an interview with me, and they might
Oh,
publish an interview with me. Yeah.
that's awesome.
What you gonna
Well,
do?
I saw this. I saw this guy. I used to follow him. His name was Chris Sean. He's another YouTuber, and he's a web developer. And he just landed. He said, you know, I was watching. I checked in on him the other day, and he just landed like, he said, I'll be making the most money I've ever made in my entire life because he did YouTube, and because he has a following, and they invited him to be a part of this thing. And he's making, you know, stupid amounts of money. He's like, I'll never have to worry about money again. That's what he said. I was like, wow. So
Yeah, yeah,
I think,
yeah. Right now, I'm getting paid by YouTube $120 on average per month.
okay,
Yeah. I was very excited when they gave me $1, $2. Monetization kicked in about March. Once I achieved about 1,000 viewers, not viewers,
mhm,
1,000 subscribers. I'm like, whoa, they gave me $5, $10. Like, whoa, this is so awesome. I was just making YouTube videos for fun,
right,
and I was very happy about that. Now I'm like at 120. I'm like, oh man, I want to get to $1,000, and
yeah, that'd be rad.
it's like salary. Yeah, once you get to $100,000, you get used to it. Now you're like,
Yeah, there's higher places to reach.
yeah,
That's cool, man. Well, I think I think we're at about our time limit here, and I think we've kind of chatted a lot about, how to choose the right job. Any kind of like final takeaways you want to give to like someone maybe in that job search or getting ready to, considering a job offer?
yeah. If I could go back to where I was about 5 years ago, about and I if there was something I could do different, it would be to get a Salesforce technical mentor. Like I was just wigging things, yeah, learning Apex and
Right.
admin and just Googling and trying to figure things out. It was very stressful because there was a lot I was confused about and didn't understand why it works that way. And if I had a technical mentor, and there are two ways to get a technical mentor, I feel. You can just cold message people on LinkedIn. They could message you, Joshua, but you're probably really busy and you probably wouldn't be available. But other people like you who are who might not be doing YouTubes and other things, so maybe they will
Sure.
mentor you. That's one thing. That's one way to do so, cold messaging. The other way I think is you can go to a website like Upwork.com where there are Salesforce developers in India and developing
Mm,
countries, maybe like Belarus, and you can hire them for $20, $30 an hour. And within an hour of discussion, you can cover a lot of material. And so if you just talk to them for a couple of hours a week, your pace of learning Salesforce, Apex, or Lightning Web Components is just accelerated 5x.
right.
So that's one suggestion I would give to myself if I could go back 5 years. You,
That's good,
Josh,
man. Well, let me
what
just
do you
comment
guys
on
think?
that before I say my idea.
Hmm.
I wanted to say two things. One, first, Trailhead has something like that too, right? Where you can sign up to be mentored by other people. Program to do that.
Yes, yeah, Trailhead has this, but it's not. It's the purpose of that mentorship is to help you get a job, and that's more like salary, not salary, resume review, interview practice, and I think you get 5 sessions with them.
Okay.
So it's not technical
Sure.
mentorship, yeah, it's career mentorship.
Yeah. The second thing I wanted to say was you have a boot camp that kind of teaches all that technical mentorship stuff, don't you?
Yes, that's another option. Yeah, they can look for Salesforce training programs like mine, where we like hold you by your hand and for 4 months and guide you through all this stuff. And I can I see at what level my students are after 4 months. They're at about the same level as I was after 2 years of Salesforce,
That's rad.
because a lot of stuff is organized and presented to you in a very simple way so that you like learning, making sense of things. When I was learning a lot of things, I was just like doing it, but I wasn't really sure why I do it. And only things started clicking after 2 years, 3 years, and so that's why being part of a program is also good because besides them explaining you stuff in a very simple way, actually you're also part of a group that is also like trying to do something same as you, like learn Salesforce. So you guys are pushing each other, explaining to each other, and that's why I think pace of learning is accelerated.
Makes sense, man. Yeah, I guess I would say, I think my tip would be just, I know I talked about against this, but, landing your first Salesforce job. So I want to talk to the earlier people that are earlier in their career. I think landing your first Salesforce job is just kind of what you need to do. And as long as you have kind of Salesforce in your history of like what you're doing, like for your next job, I think it'll look positive. And you'll be heads and tails above kind of other people who don't have that. But I do want to point out that Salesforce jobs are like they're notoriously short. Like your stay at a job, I should say, are for most developers are notoriously, are shorter than other careers. I heard someone say that they couldn't keep developers for longer than a year, and I was like, that's crazy. And the reason is because we do have a skill set that's very highly sought after, and we are I get hit up on LinkedIn all the time. You too, probably. um, and people are like, man, like, would you come work for this company? Like 170, right? Like I said, and they have these crazy numbers, and I'm just like, I enjoy where I work, and I enjoy my work-life balance and all the things that come with that. But landing that first job is the most important thing. So just because we talked about some of these entry level, like, you see the Mason Frank survey, and you're like, oh, this job's only offering me 70,000 when Mason Frank says I should make 96 or whatever salary survey. I think the importance is just kind of landing that job, working there, getting experience, and then you can start looking for some of these other places that are, kind of offer you the crazy amounts of money that you're hoping to make in your career. That would be my tip to people. Like, just land the first one, and keep your options open, and see
Yeah,
what comes to you.
yeah. Don't be picky with the first job. Yeah, that I want to work in this geography or in this kind of company. I would just go for anything. Like, if I were looking for my first job, Alaska, I'm going there for 6 months. I will take my kids and hope. So because it's very difficult to get the first job, so people should be flexible.
Right. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time today, and thank you for all of you guys that are listening and hanging out with us today. This is episode 1. We hope to be doing these on a semi-regular basis. We haven't quite nailed down the schedule yet, but that's in flux. But we're hoping to keep you guys updated, answering your live questions. So hit us up on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Leave us comments underneath the video here, and we'll we want to answer your specific questions. So. But other than that, we hope you guys enjoyed it. And signing off, I'm Josh.
Looking forward to your questions. Leave comments of what topics you want us to tackle next. Would love to hear from you. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.